I had an idea that I was wanting to get some stories from my friends on Facebook, and this idea was uh, put in my brain during Dirty Kansas 2019 when I was having a particularly unpleasant day. And during that time, I had a lot of time on my hands to think. And as we all know, that can be good or bad. And I want to think that it was both for me. Uh, Most of my cycling friends know that one of our friends and fellow cyclists had a major head injury uh, a year and a half back, and his life has changed forever. His wife and family's life has changed forever, and he's such a strong person and is fighting to recover. And I thought a lot about our friend Wes on my journey in the Flint Hills that day. And I thought about my health issues that I've had. Most of you know that I had a little issue. And so since then, a couple of our friends have had cancer diagnoses, which weighs heavy on our minds. We have a friend who lost a child. So what I'm getting at is I know some of the things that I've been through as a human, and so I'm thinking, okay, I got all these friends on Facebook, and I wonder what they've gone through. And so I put out this request that if they would like, they submit a story to me, and I'm going to read these stories with their permission, keep them anonymous unless told otherwise. Pardon me, and see where this goes. And it may go somewhere, and it may be cool, and it may not go anywhere, and I might be wasting your time. I'm not wasting my time because I've gotten stories already, and all I have to say is, wow, some of my friends have been through some trenches and some pretty heavy stuff, and they've shared this, and well, it's going to make my story seem pretty silly that I'm pissing and moaning about a bad day on my bicycle, but it is what it is, as the saying goes. And so this is what I wrote down after my experience in 2019, and we'll see how this goes. And so I'm going to tell my story, and then I'm going to read some of the other stories and try to post those with some degree of frequency. And I do want to quote a singer-songwriter who I'm pretty fond of his work. I don't know what planet this dude's from, but I really like him. I think he's very insightful and creative and weird. But I like that kind of stuff, and maybe that's where I'm at. I don't know. But Ray Wylie Hubbard, and Ray Wylie Hubbard is known to say, days that I keep my gratitude higher than my expectations, well, I have really good days. And I think that's true. I don't think that that's a wrong way to look at stuff. So anyhow, I'm going to read my story, and I apologize to you, but I'm going to mostly just read because I have it written. I've had it written for some time, and this is how it goes. All right. So Dirty Kansas 2019 started out as a great day. Early in the morning, I met two of my cousins and a bunch of my friends at the starting line of this thing. I was getting ready to do the half pint, which is a 100-mile gravel road race. There's people doing 200, 50, 25, even a 350, which I do have a couple of crazy friends that did that, and so power to them. At any rate, we took off out of town, and I don't know how many people were in the 100-mile race, but there were roughly 4,000 riders that day. This is a big deal, and so we're taking off, and it didn't take too long before our little group started splintering, and primarily I'm riding with my friend Jerry and his son Sam. They're doing a father-son adventure, which is way cool. And we're riding along, and I'm feeling great. It's a great day. It's a little warm, it's a little humid, but hey, you're in Kansas, and that's how it rolls in Kansas. But I'm having a fantastic day, talking, enjoying my friends, and right, man, 44 miles, I was doing well. And at 44.1 miles, I'm sitting on the side of the road, wondering if I'm gonna be able to get to the checkpoint at 50 miles. And Sam had continued on. I don't even know if he knows that we had stopped. However, my friend Jerry was standing there, and I'm trying to talk him into proceeding along because he needs to be riding with his son, and he's pretty insistent that he's not going anywhere. And I know why he's standing there. He's standing there because he's worried about me, and I appreciate that. And so I don't know how long I was sitting there on the side of the road, but it was a minute. And finally decided, okay, I'm ready to limp. So we limped into Council Grove, where Laura and Lisa, Jerry's wife, were our pit crew, if you will. And I drank a bunch of fluids. They fed me food. I even took about an hour beauty rest underneath somebody. I had no idea who they were, but they were kind enough to let me get under their pop-up and get into some shade, and slept for an hour. And I'm sure that everybody thought, well, as soon as he wakes up, we'll load him in the vehicle and we'll head off to Emporia. Jerry had met up with his son, and they were continuing their journey as they should, and as it should be. And so I wake up and I decide I need to try to finish this. I don't have any pretension when I started this that I was going to win or really even do well. I didn't have any expectations of that, but I did want to finish. And so I decided I'm going to finish. And one of my buddies was there helping with the checkpoint, and he told me he's going to ride with me. And I said, okay, that's cool. It'd be nice to have company. And so a little backstory here. So preparing for Dirty Kansas 2018, 14 months prior to this, I'm out in the Flint Hills with a bunch of guys, and we're doing a training ride, and I had a heart attack, and I ended up in ICU. I got a heart stent, got on a crap ton of medicines, and needless to say, I didn't do Dirty Kansas 2018. But I did, obviously recovered. I mean, here I am. And so flash forward now to preparing for Dirty Kansas 2019. And just before, like weeks before the event, my blood pressure decided to act a fool and started going up. And I was symptomatic. And so my cardiologist ceased all my riding activities. He changed my medications around. And I don't know if you've ever been on cardiac medications, but they don't exactly make you feel good. And so I didn't really feel that great. But my pressures came down. He gave me his blessings reluctantly. My wife gave me her support, even though I'm sure she didn't think I should be doing this. But she was supportive because she's awesome. And so here I am. And my friend and I take off, and right out the gate, we're climbing. And it's hot. It's not just warm and humid, it's hot and humid. And so roughly 6 miles into this second leg, I look over, my friend's being awfully quiet, and I look over and he doesn't look very good, and I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he said, I don't know. He said, I'm feeling like dizzy and stuff. And so I was like, well, by all means, please go back. I mean, go back, please. And so he did, wisely, which is probably what I should have done, but I'm not that wise. And I'm going to get back to this friend in a little bit, because he pretty much saved my butt here. later on in this stupid story, but at any rate, so I'm riding and I'm going maybe at a snail's pace. I don't know, snails might have laughed, but I'm riding. And a lot of the big climbs, big hills, I'm just walking up them. I don't have anything in the tank. And so I'm riding and I'm riding and I'm riding. And eventually I'm asleep again. I'm under a tree next to some lake. I have no idea what lake it is, but I'm next to a lake somewhere sleeping. And once I get back up and get going again, I hear this rumor that there's these people handing out, filling up ice or water bottles with ice at the top of this hill. So I'm like, let's go, because I can use some ice. And so we get up there, and sure enough, there these people are. And I'm not joking, the guy directly in front of me, they say, oh, well, lucky you get the last of the ice. And I have to tell you, I was crushed. I mean, mentally, I'm crushed. I'm broken. And so I'm contemplating pulling the plug at that point. But I get myself together, and I get back on my bike, and I'm doing my crawl. And I come upon the first of my 2 saving graces that day. Some farmer or something had a pop-up over his well. And so I'm underneath this pop-up. He had lawn chairs, and I'm pouring water over my head. I'm drinking water, and I don't know how long I'm there, but I'm there a minute. And finally decide I need to go, so I take off, and I'm riding and walking and riding and walking. And you know, cyclists are good, kind people typically. And anytime I would see somebody on the side of the road, excuse me, in a normal situation, I ask if they need any help, because I'm going to help them if they need help. And so at this point, I'm not even acknowledging that there's people on the side of the road. Some of them look as bad as I feel. But I got nothing. There's no way I can render aid to anybody. I can't help them fix any problems that they're having with their bikes. I got nothing. So I just keep moving. And finally I know I'm getting close to the town of Americus. And I come upon this young couple, and they have 2 kids. And they're handing out ice cold water. And they didn't so much really ask me if I'm okay. They basically said, dude, you're not okay, when they said, are you okay? And they offered to call my ride, and of course I told them no, I need to keep moving. And so they told me Americus is 4 miles or so down the road. And I get into Americus. And there's a small little community park, and I find a picnic table, and what do? Well, I take my 3rd nap of the day. And so by this time, my wife is in Emporia, and she's not calling and asking me if I want her to come get me. She's calling and telling me she's coming. And I finally convince her, look, I just need to rest a little bit more, and then I'm gonna get into town. I'll be there. And so I finally decide it's time to move, and getting ready to go. And my phone rings, and it's the aforementioned friend from Council Grove. Asking where I'm at. I tell him, and he says, don't move, I'm 5 minutes away. And he shows up, and he has one of those big cups of ice, crushed ice, and a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola. And I'm not much of a Coca-Cola drinker, but I'll tell you what, that tasted good. And it gave me energy. It was crazy, the energy that it gave me. And I thought, man, I'm feeling pretty good now. Let's go. So I took off, and as luck would have it, from Americus to Emporia, as the Flint Hills goes, relatively flat. And I had a tailwind. And so I'm cooking now. I mean, I don't say I'm cooking. I'm cooking by comparison to what I was doing earlier in the day. But I'm moving forward, and I'm now 100% confident I'm going to finish. And so maybe 3, maybe 4 miles from the town of Emporia, I come across this young lady who's standing literally in the middle of the road crying. So of course I stop and what's going on is she's mentally broken. She's saying, I can't finish. There's no way I'm going to finish this. And I really want to finish. So I convince her to get over into under some trees, sit down. I give her all the fluids that I have left. And I convince her that if you just sit here, you've got all day, just sit here until, as long as it takes, and you got 3 miles to go, 4 miles at the worst. And so how powerful is the brain that you've got 97 grueling miles under your belt, and your brain's telling you can't do the last 3 or 4, flat and tailwind. So I hope she pulled herself together, and I hope she got into town. Because if she didn't, she's going to feel just like I would have felt had I not gotten into town. I would feel pretty bad about myself. And I know that sounds foolish, but that's how it works. So I get to Emporia, and I'm on Commercial Street, and this race has a chute maybe 4 or 5 blocks, city blocks long. People all lined on the sides, and cheering. There's music playing. It's just a big party, and it's a really good feeling. And so I'm riding down this chute, and I got tears in my eyes. And I think, I wonder if these people are wondering, why is this dude got tears in his eyes like he thinks he won this or something? But honestly, I was emotional because I thought, well, I probably think I got about a 4% chance of finishing this thing back at the halfway point. And I got about a 40% chance of killing myself the way I was feeling. And so I was feeling pretty good about that chute ride. And you know, I wasn't feeling good about my performance. By contrast, 2 years ago, I'd done the same race, and I finished it in 8 hours and 3 minutes, and felt great doing it. And I was on the bike this day for, I don't know if it was a couple minutes under or a couple minutes over 12 hours, but it doesn't make any difference. And so my initial reaction is I'm embarrassed about my performance. But really, after giving it some thought, I'm actually pretty proud of that performance because I learned a lot about myself that day, and I think I got a lot of personal growth. I learned that I'm capable of doing things far more than I thought I could. And so that's my story of a trying day. And as I said early on, or right out the gate, this story is going to seem pretty silly for me moaning about a bad day on my bicycle when you hear some of the trials that some of my friends have been through in their lives. And this by far is not the worst day I've ever had in my life, but this is the catalyst that got me thinking about doing this project. And as I said, I don't know where this is going to go. It doesn't have to go anywhere. I'm getting out of it what I want because I'm learning stuff about my friends, and the friends that have sent me some stories is I'm going to look at them with a lot more admiration than I used to because of what they've been through in their life. I mean, people go through stuff and it's traumatic, and so I respect the heck out of them for sharing their stories, and I'll share them with you. And if you like this, great. If you don't, well, you don't have to click on the link. Excuse me. This could be the last one you watch if you even watch this whole thing. But thanks for watching. I'm going to try to post these my friends' stories on a fairly consistent basis, and they'll be on Facebook, and I'll have a link to the video. Have a good day. Keep your gratitude higher than your expectations, and you're almost guaranteed to have a really good day, as Ray Wiley tells you. So, peace out.